In October of 2011, an American missionary in Iraq named Joshua Bold had to run into the city to pick up some equipment. Well, before long, he was confronted by some angry men, and soon those men were joined by nearly a dozen others. Joshua was stomped on, handcuffed, and hauled away, and told he'd never see his wife or daughter again.
Joshua Bold is the president of AIMS, which focuses on spreading the gospel to unreached people groups. While he grew up in a Christian home, Joshua rebelled and became a drug addict. His parents kept praying, and eventually, Joshua got radically saved and instantly delivered from drugs. While in Iraq, Joshua was captured, severely beaten, and told he would never see his wife or newborn again. Yet Jesus gave him a vision that led to his release.
Well, Joshua Bold joins us now via Skype to share the rest of his story. Joshua, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Terry. It's great to be with you today.
Well, before we get into your abduction, let's go back to your teenage years, because you were heavily addicted to drugs like cocaine, even meth. How did that person wind up becoming a missionary?
The grace of God. You know, I was raised by a wonderful family and good Christian parents, but I had no walk with God myself. And in 2005, I experienced, in the middle of a worship session, I was invited to go to a men's conference. I experienced the presence of Jesus, and I just prayed, you know what? I've always heard Jesus saves, but if you'll save my life and free me from this addiction, I'll give you everything. I'll go wherever you tell me to go. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. My life is yours. And Terry, he set me free in one moment.
And then sent you off to distant
Sent
places.
me off. I didn't know what I was praying at that time.
Well, in October 2011, you had to make a quick run into the city. I mean, you didn't think it was going to be any more than that. What happened next?
Well, you know, we were in an area where we were pretty familiar with in Iraq, and we were going to get some equipment. And I thought, hey, I'm having a misunderstanding with some unkind men. I didn't realize that they had a problem with who I was as an American. It wasn't the fact that I was a missionary as much as just an American in the wrong place. And I was beaten and captured and locked and chained to a chair. They beat me pretty severely and told me I would never see the light of day or my wife or daughter again. And it was one of the most terrifying moments of my life.
Yeah. How did God meet you in that place? I mean, you know, it's one thing to have faith and feel close to the Lord when you're secure, when you're surrounded by people like that who are harming you. Tell me about what went on in your heart and mind.
Well, Terry, you know, when the Lord called us into missions, we told him that our lives are his. And that was the greatest freedom to say, God, whatever I have, you've given to me, and I surrender it to you for your will. And so in that moment, when I was kind of at the point of hopelessness, you could say, I just prayed and I said, Lord, I know that you didn't bring me here to die like this. I'm willing to give my life for you, but I don't feel like this is going to bring you glory. Will you deliver me? And as I was praying, the Lord showed me a picture of himself on the cross in his final moment. He prayed and he said, Lord, would you forgive them? Father, would you forgive them? They don't know what they're doing. And he showed me that these men, they were operating out of confusion. And, you know, Satan is the author of confusion. And so I was led by the Spirit of God to repent to them and to ask them to forgive me and my countrymen for anything that I would have done to offend them. That caused them to start to argue with each other. Actually, they couldn't understand why I would be apologizing to them while they were beating me. And through a set of circumstances, after about an hour or two later, they came in, they took the chains off my wrist, they washed the blood off of my face and my head and things, and they released me back to my family.
Wow. Wow. I want to mention that there was a point, seems like it's right out of a movie script, where you'd been unchained and one of the men had actually left a gun on the table, and yet you didn't grab it. Tell me what went through your mind there.
Well, so these men were really angry, and they were trying to intimidate. They were beating my back of my head and the front of my head, and they had several sets of handcuffs on and had my arms behind my back, and they were lifting them up, trying to break them, I thought. And I said, please, you're breaking my arms. And they said, oh, you think if we take the chains off, it will help you. So they took them off, and they were spitting on me and things. And then one of them, trying to show his strength, he kicked the corner of a table. Well, that table had a lot of surveillance equipment on it, and all these computer monitors and stuff just falls to the ground. So they all scrambled to pick up the computers. Well, they didn't realize that they had left a pistol right next to me on an adjacent table. And you know, you've watched all of these movies and shows. In your mind, you're thinking, get the gun, get out of there. But I was actually underneath the ground, and I knew if I took this gun, I'm gonna have to fight my way out of this basement. And so I trusted the Lord, and I really felt like he led me in that. And you know, Terry, he delivered me from that. And the thing that breaks my heart, and what we do at Ames now, is that there's over 3 billion people in captivity to sin and darkness of all kinds. And I've heard even about it today with the people in Ukraine. And they have no hope because they've never heard of Christ. And I'm so thankful that he delivered me from addiction. He delivered me from the hands of these vicious people in Iraq. And I believe that he's going to work through us to see his deliverance come to the unreached.
I believe so too, Joshua. It happens because of people like you. We thank you for sharing your story today. Joshua is the president of AIMS, which stands for Accelerating International Mission Strategy. Get more information on cbn.com.